It almost sounds made up. I mean, we're talking about a professional journey that goes from the fashion runway all the way to outer space, from the operating room to the Oval Office. Seriously, think about this. This person has been working since 1959, constantly picking up new skills, breaking into totally new industries, and yeah, shattering a few glass ceilings while she's at it. So, just how big is this resume? How many jobs can one person really have? All right, get ready for this. According to Mattel, the people who would know, Barbie has had over 1,000 careers. Let me say that again, 1,000. It's a number that just doesn't even sound real. But the story behind that number is even more incredible.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll talk about what this infinite resume really is. Then we'll go back in time to the impossible idea that started everything. We'll look at Barbie's very first jobs, track her amazing career evolution, and finally, really dig into the Barbie legacy.
An infinite resume. I mean, that's the perfect way to describe it. A true professional powerhouse. But you know, the most interesting part isn't just a crazy number of jobs. It's the philosophy behind it all. The why that's been driving this unbelievable career path for more than 60 years.
And to get to that why, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. Back to a time when one woman had a revolutionary idea that the men in charge told her was, well, impossible. And that woman's name was Ruth Handler.
You have to picture what the toy aisle looked like back then. In the 1950s, it was all baby dolls. The message was pretty clear. Girls should play at being moms. But Ruth saw that her own daughter, Barbara, was playing differently. She loved her paper dolls of adult women, using them to act out future careers and grown-up lives. She wasn't just playing mommy, she was playing what if. So Ruth takes this amazing insight to the all-male design team at Mattel, the company she co-founded. And what was their reaction? They told her it was impossible, and nobody would ever buy a doll with a grown-up body. But hearing that word, it just made her more determined to prove every single one of them wrong. And this quote, this is everything. This is the core, the DNA of Barbie. It was never about just making a piece of plastic. It was about creating a blank canvas for a kid's imagination. My whole philosophy of Barbie was that through the doll, the little girl could be anything she wanted to be. That was the mission, and it became the blueprint for that 1,000-job resume. Okay, so you have this huge, powerful idea. How do you actually turn that into a toy? Let's look at Barbie's very first jobs, because this is where that foundation for a limitless future started, one groundbreaking career at a time.
So in 1959, she comes out as a teenage fashion model.
Okay, a safe start. Very stylish. But just look how quickly things evolved. 2 years later, she's a nurse. By 1963, she's a business executive. And then in 1965, an astronaut. Whoa. This wasn't some slow, gradual change. This was a bold statement, right out of the gate, about what women were capable of. Now let this one really sink in. Barbie went to space in 1965. That is a full 4 years before Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin actually walked on the moon. This one fact proves everything. She wasn't created to just reflect the world as it was. She was designed to show girls what was possible. She was meant to lead, not to follow. And of course, that kind of forward thinking just lit a fire under her career evolution. As the world changed and doors started opening for women, Barbie's resume absolutely exploded to reflect all those new aspirations. So just how fast did her resume grow? This chart tells you everything you need to know. In the entire decade of the 1960s, she took on about 15 new careers. Now, jump forward to the 2010s. Look at that bar on the right. She added over 200 new jobs. That is not just growth, my friends. That is an explosion, right alongside the progress of women all over the world. And a huge part of that recent explosion has been in STEM. And this was completely on purpose, right? To get girls excited about fields where women are still underrepresented. We're talking computer engineer, robotics engineer, even a game developer, and a renewable energy engineer. I mean, jobs that are on the cutting edge of everything. And it's not just about science and tech, either. She has this long, amazing history in public service and leadership. She was a UNICEF ambassador way back in 1989. And get this, she first ran for president in 1992. Since then, she's been a police officer, a firefighter, a judge, all roles that show a real commitment to community. So when you put it all together, the 1,000-plus jobs, the forward-thinking choices, the way she mirrored social progress, what you get is the Barbie legacy.
And it's a legacy that proves she was always meant to be more than a toy. She was designed from day one to be a tool for imagination.
It really does all circle back to Ruth Handler's impossible idea. That infinite resume, it's not some marketing gimmick. Every single one of those jobs, from astronaut to artist, doctor to game developer, is a direct link back to her original mission: create a doll that lets little girls imagine all the futures they could possibly have.
You know, Barbie's resume is still being written because the world of what's possible is always getting bigger. And that brings us to the final and probably the most important question. Who will she be next? Well, according to the philosophy she was built on, that part is up to you.